got to sleep in till like 7:15 a couple mornings. It was pretty amazing. Yeah, it was pretty awesome. A couple things our family enjoyed. We went to Wisconsin Dells to a water park for a couple days as a family. That was pretty fun. We put a puzzle together. We watched a lot of football, by the way. Notre Dame or Ohio State? What do we got in here? I haven't decided yet. I'm not sure yet where I'm going, but I'm sure if I did OH. Okay, that's it. What do you say for Notre Dame? Like go fighting. Okay, yeah, they need to work on that apparently. Probably my favorite thing I got to do over break, however, is I got to go on a date with my wife for our anniversary on December 30th. To our favorite restaurant, Cerulean's. Our marriage has turned adult. It's 18 years old. So yeah, we can vote now. It's pretty awesome. So, but one of the fun moments I wanted to share to you guys about over break. So on New Year's Eve, our family, we got a little crazy. We broke open a bottle of sparkling grape juice. Yeah, it was pretty nuts. Got out some fancy glasses, poured ourselves a little sparkling grape juice, and we did some toasts around the table to what the Lord had done this last year, how He had been faithful to us. And we got to the end, and Mini Prez over there, hey, Mini Prez, how are you? Bennett, he goes, wait, I got one more. We're like, what? And he goes, hey, toast to the best students in all the world, the Grace College students. And we said, hear, hear. So that was our final toast of 2024. So we like to do this thing called Prezz time once a semester, a little more informal, a little more laid back. Time to give some updates on campus, time to interview a couple people, and we're going to do just that. And then if we have some time at the end, maybe we'll do some Q&A of some questions I have been asked, or you can text those questions into Brent, and we'll answer some questions. So just like a more informal time to hang out heading into the semester. I want to give a couple campus updates, things to look forward to be excited about, things to celebrate even from last session. There's the phone number again if you want to get your really hard question in for me. Some campus updates. I think. Can you let me run this? Maybe. Maybe not. How about you go to the first slide of athletics. There we go. That's what I was looking for. We'll see if I can flip them here. But a couple things to celebrate. Last session, we had 2 national championships. Both our volleyball team and our women's golf team brought home the banner for NCCAA national championships. Middle top up there, our tennis team won the Crossroads League for the 3rd time in a row. You can see me there. If you go back to that slide, you can see me there at the in the middle, yelling "Vamos" over and over again. Let's go! Soccer teams, lots of All-American awards. Cross country, our women's had their highest finish that they've ever had at the NAIA Nationals. So congrats to the women's cross country team. And of course, we've now started into basketball season. That's actually a picture of me there dunking. Yeah, it's not Ian Rosh, it's me actually. And then, but we got a game this Saturday, so come on out. 1 o'clock for the women's game, 3 o'clock for the men's game. Both having phenomenal seasons. It's always a great time to be in here cheering on the Lancers. And then as we look forward to this upcoming semester, we've got baseball, we've got indoor track, outdoor track, bowling, golf, softball, lots of amazing athletic events coming up, things that we can participate in. But it's not just our varsity sports teams. If you didn't know, we have a shooting sports team. And this last semester, they brought home the Hoosier Fall Collegiate Invitational. So congrats to our shooting sports team. And by the way, that group is open to anyone who wants to be a part of it. So if you like shooting skeet, get connected with the shooting sports team. We also hosted this last semester the Intercollegiate International Mediation Tournament on our campus. And our teams did really well, and Bianca Jimenez Ortiz was given first place overall in her category of mediator, so congratulations to Bianca. A few of you went on go encounter trips over break. How many went on go encounter trips? Let me hear you. Let me hear you. Let me hear you. I mean, a lot more of you than that went on go encounter trips. Costa Rica, Cyprus, Cabo. Did not get invited to that one. Italy, 2 teams went to Italy. There's a team in Mexico. Morocco, I think you rode some camels if you went on the Morocco trip. So what a great experience to go on those international trips, cross-cultural experiences, and just see how people live and what God is doing around the world. And I know many of you are headed on trips over spring break and even this summer as well. Couple of exciting projects happening on campus right now. We have begun construction over at Westminster on our new Welcome Center, the Butch Welcome Center. We're really excited about this project. We apologize to those living in Westminster who might have a little extra dust and some hammer sounds in the background while you're trying to sleep in. But we're going to have this completed by May. This is going to be a great place for us to welcome all our guests to campus, admissions guests, alumni guests, community donors, banquet center, campus store, new offices for the admissions team. So we're really excited about this project. And if you didn't hear, go back one slide, please. If you didn't hear, we also bought the church across the street from Westminster last semester at the end of the semester. So we now own a church. We don't know what we're going to do with it quite yet, so you can text in your ideas to Brent. I'm sure you have a few. My kids are thinking laser tag arena is what they... that has been their suggestion, is laser tag arena, but we're excited to be able to have this new facility right next to our campus. I did want to let you know about one other facility update for those returning next semester, next fall, that will be available to you. Winona Lake Grace Church right now is doing a huge renovation. They're creating a new spot that's going to be a cafe, also a play place for kids. And they have really had Grace College students in mind as they have put this together. They want this to be a place where you want to go hang out with students, you want to grab a cup of coffee, you want to have a mentoring session with a faculty member. This will be a pretty large space for you to be able to do that. This is right next to the Gordon Health and Wellness Center, and just going to be a spot for you, another spot for you to hang out near our campus. What a blessing it is for us to be in Winona Lake. So just wanted to give a couple of those facility updates. We also have some amazing events coming up this session. One of those is a awesome Grace College tradition, Supermarket Sweep. And if you have not been a part of Supermarket Sweep, it's an amazing evening of us clearing out Kroger and filling up all of the needed food banks in our community to ensure those who don't have a meal have access to whatever they need. And so last year, I think it was over $30,000 of food in one day between Grace and our community. And so we're gonna go after it again this year. I'm already signed up on a team, excited to participate and be a part of that. Res Hall students can look to their GGLs for info. Apartment residents, you'll receive apartment credit for joining a Res Hall. And now's the time to start fundraising and get some others to join your team. So excited about that. We also, for you seniors, the senior trip's coming up on February 12th and 13th, going to Kalahari for indoor water park for a couple days. So any graduating seniors can sign up for that in the student involvement office through this Friday at 4 p.m. $20 cash deposit to go on that senior trip. January 18th, next week, we're going to have a free ice skating event for students down at the Miller Pavilion. So if you're into ice skating or you just want to make a fool of yourself trying, we've got a beautiful, awesome skating rink right next to our campus. And so you'll be able to enjoy that for free next week, January 18th from 7 to 9 p.m. Of course, student involvement, Lancer Lowdown, check all the socials. I'm really excited that we are going to have some amazing chapel guests coming with us this semester. Next week on Tuesday, we'll have our Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Chapel. pumped to have Dr. John McNeil, the first African-American graduate of Grace Seminary back in 1964, to join us that day. He is 90 plus years old, flying up here from Atlanta, has spent a year, his whole career in ministry and theological education. He's going to come share his story of being a son of a sharecropper, knowing Dr. King himself, and his time here at Grace as a student. So excited to have him. Katie Cole, author, speaker, is going to be here for our career day. Troy Justice, NBA head of international basketball, is going to come share with us. Of course, the Rev, Lonnie Anderson, is going to be with us, as he is every year. And then our day of worship, April 15th, always a wonderful day. And we're going to have Pastor Chris Brooks from Woodside Bible Church up in Detroit joining us for that day. So excited for what we have in chapel. I am really excited to be able to welcome to the stage one of your fellow students who's been away from campus for the last year and returned to campus just earlier this week to finish his last semester at Grace. And the reason he's been away from campus for the last years, he's been fighting stage 4 lymphoma cancer, and he beat stage 4 lymphoma cancer. And I've been able to keep up with Josh and his family over this last year as we've prayed for them, and been amazing to hear what the Lord has taught him. And so I asked Josh, we had lunch yesterday, I said, hey, can you come up and just share a little bit about what the Lord has done in your life, what you've been through, and your encouragement for students. So would you give a huge welcome back to senior Josh White? How are you doing? Good to see you.
It's too cold.
Yeah.
I live in Florida, so when I got off the plane, I wanted to go right back home. So
That's right. But you like hockey.
I
So,
do. Yeah, that's true.
You know, at least you got a little bit of that. We talked about something you enjoyed over Christmas break. What's something you enjoyed over Christmas break?
Well, I told my roommates when I got off the plane, I was wearing pants, and I said, this is the first time I wore pants in over a year. It doesn't really get that cold in Florida. Cold there is like 50, so that's still shorts weather. So being able to enjoy Christmas in shorts and a t-shirt.
That's fair. Josh, you've had quite the year. So I'd love for you to just start by just sharing what's happened this last year, what the Lord has brought you through, and just tell a little bit of your story.
Yeah, I will keep it as short as I can. I have class at 11:30, so if I go over, it's on me. But so 2 Octobers ago, October of 2023, I started having back pain. That's what started everything. I saw the school nurse who connected me with OrthoMed right across the street. And so went there a few times. They said it is likely just a torn muscle from working out and putting too much strain on it. So I went there in November once at the beginning, and then again in the middle of November, and it got worse and worse until the end of November. I went back a third time, and I saw a back surgeon, I believe, and she was like, you know, it's been about a month. I don't think this is something small. We should get an MRI and see what it's really about. So I had to make the decision the week before finals week to try to power through or to get an MRI and potentially not finish my classes. And so I went through November and December, probably getting about 2 hours of sleep a night. I'd wake up probably every 20 minutes just in so much pain with my back. Eventually I found out that I had 2 fractured vertebrae in my back, and I was taking Tylenol for it. So that didn't work out too well. But I did make it through finals, and I passed my classes, so that was good. So I get home in December.
By the way, not everyone in this room can probably say that about their last semester.
Yeah.
So, you know,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I get home in December, and my parents know immediately something's wrong. It's not just my pain. I'd lost weight at this point. I was very depressed and would just sit in my room. Thankfully, my dad had just like a physical checkup when I got back, and so he said he'd give it to me to just go get checked out by a doctor. And the doctor had me like stretch and do all these things to see what I could and couldn't do. And he said it's likely a bulging disc or something a little more serious. But he wanted to get an MRI. Got an MRI, got a call from the doctor about a week before Christmas that said it is a possibility that is lymphoma. Can't tell for sure, so I wanted to get further tests. And so my family and I just started praying about it. What do we do? Where do we go? And so we are calling every hospital and doctor in the area, trying to get in to get another scan to figure out what is going on. And every place is like, we'll get you in like a month or two. And we're like, can't wait that long. So 2 days after Christmas, on December 27th, I wake up and my dad said, let's go to the ER. Had enough, let's just try to get answers. Go to the ER, got a CAT scan of my chest that showed a tumor in my lungs. Come back from that, and the doctor is like, all right, you can go home and we'll follow up later. And so my parents and I are like, I don't think so. Like, that's not something we want to do. So my dad talked to the doctor and was like, if that's your kid in there, are you just going to send him home? And she says, absolutely not. So she called an ambulance, took me to downtown Orlando, the main hospital in my area, and was there for 12 days. I have a list of everything that I went through and got with all the scans and tests and everything. But it was a lot. And so in 12 days, I lost 30 pounds. I was very depressed and anxious, and on January 4th, I was diagnosed with anaplastic large cell lymphoma, ALK positive. And so when my doctor told me that, I was like, what the heck is that? So that is stage 4 lymphoma, which is a blood cancer. And so go to find out, the reason for the back pain was I had tumors growing in the bottom of my vertebrae, 2 of my vertebrae. There was a tumor growing in the bottom of it, causing a break, which is the reason why I was in pain. And so January 4th, I was diagnosed, and the doctor says, all right, in 2 days, we're going to start chemo. And I don't know what I was expecting, but I thought I would have time to process and make a decision and figure out what I wanted to do, what route I wanted to go, because at this point, I'm still like, all right, I'm going back to school next week. I still couldn't get that out of my head. But he said, no, we're starting chemo in 2 days. This is very serious. It's stage 4. With my age, with the disease that it was greater than 1 in a million, the chance that I got that. Very rare, very serious. And so he said, we want to attack it now. So January 6th, I was still in the hospital, started my first round of chemo, and then 2 days later got home. And so I had 6 rounds of chemo in total. They are every 3 weeks. And so I got my first round January 6th. The second one was a little bit delayed. I got that on February 1st, I believe. And so with chemo comes a lot of nausea, and with that comes a lot of nausea meds that do nothing. So I go to get a shot after I get chemo every day. And so I talk to my nurses, and I'm like, the nausea is just the biggest problem. Like, I feel sick all the time. And so they're like, all right, well, let's try this other med with the one that you're on to see if it helps. And so the next day, on Saturday, I wake up and things are going normally, and then all of a sudden in the afternoon, my throat closes up, my mouth closes, and I couldn't breathe. And so I was having an allergic reaction to the med that I was on. And so thankfully, my parents were home. So I run into their room. I couldn't open my mouth. It was weird. I had like lockjaw, I guess. And so I was like, we got to go. And so we got into the car, went to the ER. I kind of don't remember that for some reason. I was very tired and kind of out of it. But it was an allergic reaction, thankfully. So I got Benadryl or whatever it was. And so knocked that med off. So I ended up just taking one nausea med for the rest of it. So I got 6 rounds of chemo. At the very start, I had a PET scan, which shows where the tumors are and how the cancer is progressing. So at the beginning, showed 4 tumors, and you get one at the beginning, halfway through, and at the end. And so after my 3rd round of chemo at the end of February, I get a scan to check up on how it's doing. And I come into the doctor to get the results, and it came back negative, and all of the cancer was gone. And so the doctor says to me, because I'm like, well, isn't that supposed to happen? Like, that's kind of the point of chemo. I'm like, well, that's a good thing, I guess. But the doctor is like, this isn't supposed to happen. He said, we cannot scientifically explain this. This is a miracle. And so that was the first time, I think, that I really saw the Lord working the situation. I don't think I ever doubted that he was with me, but that was the first time where I was like, God is doing something special, and I can have faith even in a tough time because he's still working. And so that was after my 3rd round, came back clear, and I still had to finish out the rest of my chemo just to make sure that the cancer was gone. And so the end of April, I finished my last round, and on May 29th, I was declared in full remission, and so I've been in remission for about 7 months since then. And so there is a lot more to the story within that, and between May and now, with appointments and scans and follow-ups. But that is my, I guess, 10-minute rundown of the last year.
And beyond that, you've had other personal tragedies as a family. Grandma passed away in November. Grandpa passed away in December. It's been a tough 2024. Yet I have been amazed by you and your family, the emails I would get of just praise and thankfulness throughout all of it. And yesterday we were talking, and I said, hey, I want to ask you, what you've learned, what has God taught you? And you're like, hey, I don't want to share right now. I want to share for the first time tomorrow. So I'd love for you to just share, like, through all of those trials and tribulations, what's the Lord taught you?
Yeah, I've been a Christian my whole life, and so growing up, I think I would say in hard times, like, I have peace in God, when I really didn't. And so the Lord's really taught me over the last year. I think I've really learned it over the last month, coming back to school and with family and everything that's going on. But just about peace, and how peace is not the elimination of something, it's the addition of someone. And so I would live my life in a way that was like, all right, once finals week is over, then I can have peace. Or once I'm done this test or this exam or whatever it is, then I can have peace. And I don't think that's how we should live as Christians. I think we can have peace in the middle of the storm. And so, like I shared with you yesterday, the metaphor of the umbrella, and how an umbrella doesn't make the rain go away, but it lets you stand in the rain. And I think Jesus does the same thing of, there's times where he's not going to eliminate the storm, but he's always going to escort you through the storm. And so in life, even when things aren't going your way, you have to trust that he's still there. And so I think peace definitely is the first thing. The second thing I would say, I'm a big fan of The Chosen, one of my favorite shows. And there's a scene that just played over and over in my head when James comes to talk to Jesus, and he is limping, he's in pain, and he is struggling with everything. And this is when the disciples are about to be sent out. And so James is like, we're going out to heal people, and I'm not healed. Like, what's up with that? And so Jesus is like, do you want to be healed? And James says, well, yes, if that's possible. And Jesus says, I think you know that it's possible. And James is like, so why haven't you? And Jesus says, because I trust you. And so he goes on to later say that he trusts certain people with certain situations. And so I think the Lord trusted me to go through what I went through over the last year, and that's not to say that I can do it and other people can't, but I think this storm the Lord gave me for a reason. And so, like I shared with you yesterday, it was as hard as it was, just finding joys in every day, whether that was asking the nurse in the hospital to come pray with me, whether that was sharing the gospel with the doctors. There were so many opportunities that I had to shine a light in a dark time, and that others could see that you can still have faith through a storm.
That metaphor has stuck with me, and I've been thinking about it ever since you mentioned it, the umbrella in the storm. You mentioned joys. Like, what were some of the, whether it was, books of the Bible or authors or even just fun things that kind of this last year gave you joy and hope? And by the way, you kept doing classes as well, which is amazing. Yeah. What are some of those things that brought you joy?
Yeah, I'm a big sports fan, so I moved to Florida about a year and a half ago, but I'm originally from Philadelphia, so go Birds. Wrong crowd, but that's okay. So yeah, I watched a lot of sports, read a lot of books, watched a lot of movies, watched a lot of Netflix. But something to just take my mind off things was building Legos, and I know your son's a fan of that. So my room just has shelves and shelves of Legos. That's just something small that I could do to take my mind off things.
We had that conversation last night, looking at all his Lego sets. That was awesome. What would you want Grace College students to know? So, some of these students have known you. Many have never met you, and this is the first time that they're getting a chance to hear your story and meet you. What would you want Grace College students to know?
Yeah, so I'll just share a piece of scripture real quick if that's cool. I stumbled across this actually not too long ago, maybe a month ago. But this is 1 Peter chapter 4, 12 and 13, and it says, "Beloved, do not be surprised at the fiery trial when it comes upon you to test you, as though something strange were happening to you. But rejoice insofar as you share Christ's sufferings, that you may also rejoice and be glad when his glory is revealed." So I think it's scriptures like that. It's Romans 5, John 16, James 1, that just promises that life will be hard. And I think if I could share anything with people, that it's that don't be surprised when trials and tribulations come up, because we are promised that. And, I think as Christians, we should want to be like Jesus. But if we are like Jesus, then we should love others and do all the good things, but also know that he was mocked, he was persecuted. And so if you want to be like Jesus, you're going to have to go through that too. When you become a Christian, you have a target on your back. The world hates you. And so it's easy to crumble and to just go along with the world. But man, how much greater is it to go against the world and to shine a light?
That's a great word. Thank you, Josh. As you think about this next semester, and we were talking about this some yesterday, like the fight's not over. Like you're not 100% better, and you've had some other family tragedies. Like, how can we be praying for you as you finish your last semester here at Grace?
Yeah, I mean, the first thing is just energy and strength. If I don't get 8 or 9 hours of sleep, I am an absolute mess and I can't function. So just strength and endurance throughout the day. But also, I think I struggle with, and I mentioned this to you yesterday, of just, I want to come back and feel normal and just be treated normal. But at the same time, I don't want that to happen because of what I've gone through over the last year. So kind of trying to find that balance of wanting to just come back and go to classes and be a normal college student, but also have people realize that I've gone through something crazy and that it's not over. And also, if you're going through something similar to that, I'd love to talk to you about it and pray for you. But yeah, just strength and endurance.
I want to pray for you now, but I just want to share one thing that has meant so much to me and the way you challenged me this last year. I asked your dad, I remember, in the middle of semester last spring, like, how's Josh doing? What's the Lord teaching him? And he talked about the immutability of God. That you had learned to rest on the immutability of God. And so I had to look up what immutability was, because I was like, what? And the unchanging nature of God, that God does not change in the good and the bad. He is always God. He has always been God. He will always be God. He is in control of everything. He created everything. And when you're in the lowest of lows, he is still God. And I was so challenged by that testimony in the middle of your darkest days, that he was still your comfort and guide through all of it. So I wanna pray for you, and we're actually gonna wrap up chapel that way. We'll not get to my questions, because this is so much more meaningful and important. I want to pray for you, but as I pray for you, I want to pray for all of us. I can look back at 2024, and my 2024 wasn't yours, but I can see some challenging days. And all of you can do that as well. And you should take time to do that, to look back and see, man, what was hard about 2020 or 2024? Maybe it was coming to Grace for the first time. Maybe it was trying to make friends here at school. Maybe it was classes. Maybe it was some stuff going on at home that no one else knows about here. But then to remember God's faithfulness through it. And then to use that as a catalyst for this year ahead, that guess what? There's going to be some more hard stuff this next year. And yet God has been faithful in the past, which means we can be confident that he will be faithful in the present and the future as well. So Josh, as I pray for you, I want to pray for all of us, and then we will be dismissed. Lord God, we thank you for who you are, the uncreated creator of the world. There is none like you. There is none above you. And yet, in your goodness and grace, you have created us in your image and likeness. You have given us a purpose. You have given us a Savior in Jesus Christ our Lord, who, as Josh mentioned, suffered like no one else has suffered. Suffered to the point of death, and in doing so conquered sin and the grave, and then called us to the absolute hardest thing in this world, which is following after him and being like him. And yet maybe the hardest thing ever, it is also the most meaningful and purposeful and joyful thing ever, to follow and suffer and have joy like Jesus. God, I thank you for the testimony of Josh, for what you have brought him through in this last year, nothing of which he wanted or would have desired or asked for, but that he wouldn't change because of the faithfulness and goodness that you showed in his deepest and darkest valleys. Thank you for the hope and joy of his testimony, and the nurses and the doctors and the people he's shared with his testimony of what you've done for him. I pray for him this semester as he struggles to have energy each day. Pray that you would give him rest. God, I pray that you would give him joy as he studies and has really hard science classes to finish up this semester, that you'd give him time and energy. I also pray, God, that you'd help him strike this balance of like just being a normal college student and enjoying normal college student stuff, but at the same time knowing he's still got these the things that he's working through physically, and a testimony that he wants to share and utilize well. Lord, everyone in this room has problems, seen and unseen, challenges. God, you are faithful to meet us in the midst of our trials and our temptations and our struggles, and to be there with us. May you be that umbrella for us this semester, in the midst of our storms. And may we come to you whenever we're struggling, and whatever challenges you bring our way. May our only hope be found in Jesus Christ. Thank you for a place where we can do that together, all to bring glory and honor to your name. We praise you, and we thank you, and we love you. In your name, amen. You may scan out. You're dismissed. God bless. Have a great day.
Your love was never far.